This is Multiplaying, Episode 10, on October 9th, 2009.
Everybody online, looking good.
A companion podcast to the collaborative blog and gaming community that's playing as life allows. This is Multiplaying.
Well, let's start the insanity.
We have clearance, Clarence. Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Hello?
Great heavens! What kind of radio show is this?
And welcome to Multiplaying. Hosting today is Jason.
Hey.
And Steve.
Hello.
And Devin.
Hi.
And this is Shanon.
Hi.
Hi. How are you guys?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. You can hear him clicking. He's playing.
My advice to you, start drinking heavily.
So, Jason, what is your beverage of choice for the evening, and what have you been playing lately?
Wow, that's a lot. That's questions quickly.
I know. We've been gone for a week and a half, and
So you just want to get it all out?
I know it's going to be a lot, so yeah.
I'm drinking Old Number 22 Dark Ale from the Arbor Brewing Company. And it's pretty good. I've been playing a weird-ass mix of games lately. Aion, which I'm sure we'll get into. Just that leveling is really slow right now. But other than that, I've been playing some PSP games. Disgaea Afternoon of Darkness, I believe it's called. PlayStation Network had a big sale on PSP games with the PSP Go coming out, which I did not buy. I'm just using my old one. That's a really good strategy game. I don't know if any of you have ever played any of those NIS games.
No, I keep thinking about picking it up, and I saw that one was on sale, and I didn't get it, unfortunately, because I'm saving my pennies for Uncharted 2 next week.
Yeah. It's really good. It's a lot of fun. It reminds me a lot of Final Fantasy Tactics, which is the only other one I've played like that. But it does a lot of really interesting things. I also been trying to keep it quick. I got Demon's Souls.
Oh, you got it, you bastard?
Yeah, I got it.
Is it rough?
Yeah, it is really rough. I will agree with a lot of the reviewers out there. It's not cheap rough. You definitely...
Wow, this is hot.
It is. It's very methodical. You go through very slowly, and
Oh yeah.
and you just kind of
ease in there.
Take it easy in there, and then if you go too fast, it's over.
All right.
What? I'm being serious. I'm being completely serious. If you just run in there, you're gonna get jumped, and the online part. I don't know if you guys have heard a whole lot about it. I know Slurm Steve has read about it. It's a really difficult role-playing game that has an online component where people can leave you messages to warn you of things coming up, but they'll also lie. So you have to look at the rating of what someone has left, because you can rate messages as you go by. So you may see going up and say, hey, there's an ambush up ahead. And I ran into that, and I walk up these stairs, and this bad guy rolled down this huge ball and killed me. So I knew from there on out to dart away as soon as I went up there. But some of them will just lie to you and say, hey, you can jump off here and get treasure, and you die. So you have to look at the rating. But it's this online component where you're always on, and you can see at times, like, I don't want to say ghosts, but shadows of other players as they're actually playing right by you. And then you may go up and be walking, and you'll see a blood stain. You can go up and interact with it, and it will show you a replay of somebody who died right there. So you'll see their silhouette as they do something and die, and it might give you a hint of how to proceed. But
how to not proceed.
How to not proceed. But yeah, that game is tough. I got past the tutorial, and I'm in the first world.
It's pretty bad when getting past the tutorial is an accomplishment.
Well, tutorial's easy, but because they don't really fight back, and you get up to this boss who kills you, and you can't kill him, so you just have to accept it. And that's kind of a learning lesson for you that, yeah, you're going to die a ton in this game. And I'm in the first world, and I've gotten, I think, to the end, which took me about 6 tries. And once you die, you're back at the beginning, and everything's respawned. So you have to then move forward. And, excuse me, I haven't experienced this yet, but I'm afraid of it, is you can draw people into your world to help you at times, but also through some circumstances, another player will invade your world, and you're fair game. And he'll come after you, and there's no voice chat, thankfully, so you won't see people whining at you, but you'll know there's somebody else, and I haven't gotten to that spot yet, but I got to the end of this thing. I have no fucking idea how to beat this level. It's brutal, but it is. At first, I was really pissed at the game, not for the difficulty, just because it seems, I don't want to say janky, but like you'll kill a guy and he'll just flop around like crazy. The physics are definitely wonky on it. And it doesn't seem super polished, but the combat is really cool. There's a mix of magic and melee and different classes, and I'm kind of a mixture between them right now. So I'm zapping guys from afar, and the melee combat is really, really good. And there seems to be a fair amount of gear that you can customize and get as you go. But I don't know. I'm going to keep playing that and see how it goes.
I got to be honest with you. I only listened to like half of what you said, and I still don't want to play that game.
No, it's
sounds
not
awful.
That game is not for you at all. That game is not for. And I'm not a hardcore player, but it's definitely it's a tough game that's not too forgiving.
See, that game I was looking at, and for the single player components alone, didn't really make me want to play it. But just seeing all the things that they were doing with the multiplayer was what really makes me want to try that game out.
Yeah, the way they've melded it is very Japanese in that you don't have a ton of flexibility. You can't pick and choose what you do when you go online. It's all or nothing. But the way that you kind of interact with people through not directly but indirectly is really cool. And that's the part I'm enjoying the most. I'm enjoying taking my time as I go through, and I've gone through this place now 5 or 6 times. But checking out the different messages, I've left some messages, and I'm going to kind of see what people are rating them. That's the really cool part, the community aspect, even though you're not directly interacting with anybody. And then really quickly, the other game I've been playing, which is another Japanese game, but kind of the other spectrum, is Persona 4.
Really?
Yeah, I went and bought that.
You bought that?
Yeah.
Did the giant bomb thing make you want to buy that?
Yeah, and I didn't watch all those. I watched a couple, but I get in that mood of playing a JRPG every once in a while, and that just seemed goofy as hell. And I'm about 4 hours in, and it really is quirky and goofy, but it's a lot of fun.
Really?
Yeah, it's such a weird game. Out of the 4 hours I've played, probably 30 minutes has been combat. The rest of it has been socializing and
Was that the one where the kids are in school?
Yeah, and that teacher just freaked out on everybody.
That's the dumbest looking thing. I only saw like a minute and a half of it, and that was enough.
No, it's pretty cool. The story, it's so weird and
it's really weird.
But it's funny and it's really quirky, and they'll just bust out with something and say something and start dropping swear words and talking about banging chicks and underage girls at times. It's really weird and funny, and the combat I just got into, really it's now to this point where I'm actually reliably going into different dungeons, and it's really weird. You're going in through TVs and you're a high school kid and there's people disappearing, so it's kind of like a serial killer mystery, but I don't know.
Weird.
I guess I only probably got like 96 more hours to go. So I'll write some articles as I move along here. But
that's cool. So you said other end of the spectrum, but still Japanese. I thought you were going to say Katamari.
No, I don't know. I did play the demo for that Katamari Forever, and I've never been a Katamari fan, so no.
Yeah, my daughter loves watching me play that.
Yeah, my son was watching me trying to roll up. He wanted me to roll up all the different animals and everything I could find. Like, yeah, that's cool for like 2 minutes. It's the same Katamari that I remember playing back when it came out.
For me, having the demo of the game is really all I need.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Like, oh, this is okay, fine. I don't ever need to play this Katamari game. So, so that's what I've been playing. Weird shit.
So, Devin, you just had a birthday, so it's official. You can participate in the What Are You Drinking segment. What do you got?
I have a Bud Light.
And have you been playing anything besides Aion?
I've been getting to Call of Duty 4 a little bit again, every now and then.
Did you watch the trailer of the Modern Warfare 2?
Oh, yeah, definitely. It looks like a great... It's cool that they're bringing us to Washington, D.C. Yeah, it's cool they're bringing us to Washington, D.C. I'm kind of excited about that.
Wow, that's awesome looking.
Did you see the story today? I can't remember where exactly I saw it, but you know how that kill streak they said, where you're the gunboat or whatever they call it, the AC whatever. They said that's not the end all kill streak reward.
Really?
There's something above that, which I don't know if it's just an atomic bomb or I don't know. Something that destroys everything.
Wow.
Huh. Yeah.
Well, Steve, what's the beverage in the games?
I'm I made a change this week. Not doing any alcohol. I actually got a Monster Energy drink.
That's a drink.
It's a drink.
That's
yeah,
a
I
beverage.
am like hyper today, and I had a bunch of Haribo gummy bears right beforehand. So,
Did you eat Pop Rocks?
you can hear them fizzing. What I've been playing, still a lot of Dirt 2. Been pretty hooked on that still. Actually been playing the multiplayer of it, and it is a ton of fun. The leaderboards and the rank and everything is just fantastic. I'm not sure if you can unlock cars from it, but I did see some higher level players with some cars that I didn't know that were available. But it is a ton of fun. It runs really good, even surprisingly with the PlayStation Network. The way however many problems it usually has. But it runs great. And what else have I been playing? A lot of Aion, or not a lot of Aion when I can get it in, and Team Fortress 2. But we'll be talking about those later. So that is pretty much it for me.
Shannon, what you been playing? Drinking, all that.
I have Merlot this evening, a very cheap Merlot, and
One classy bitch.
I am.
It's just squeezed grapes with vodka poured into it.
I stamp them with my feet.
Gross. I've been casual gaming. Cafe World I've discovered on Facebook, and I'm addicted to it. And it's like you run your own little restaurant, and you have to log in like when your recipe is done cooking to serve it. And then, so you're like constantly on it until you start figuring out like, oh, I can make this, and then not log in for 2 days. So I'm getting the hang of that finally. And iPhone, I've been playing Mr. Ah, and that's not that great. No, I really wouldn't recommend it. It's a little man, like he starts on a pedestal. I don't know if you guys play it.
No, I haven't.
You tap him. Well, he starts swinging, and you tap him to jump to the next platform. And the closer you get to the center, the more points you get, and the platforms change, and your gravity changes, and your wind changes. So it's a nice, really nice time killer. But I would prefer I prefer games like Bookworm and Word Foo and Wordle. I like those games better for that. And I did find Pocket Farm.
Oh yeah,
I know, it's amazing.
It's on.
It's not as good as Farmville, but it does have this cool thing where you go to market and like all of the stuff you've grown comes down a conveyor belt, and you have to hurry up and fill your baskets before they fall off the conveyor belt, and that's pretty cool.
So like a mini game within the within the game,
within the farming game. Yeah.
Cool.
It's in the meta game of the farming game.
Yeah. So and you don't have to, unlike the other farm games, you don't have to go in to harvest your stuff before they rot. It'll just stay there. So not so much the forced you must log in type of game.
So it'd be good for me.
Yeah, because your stuff's been dead for like 4 months.
Yeah.
So your cows all exploded. I went to your farm today. They were exploded.
Is my guy like just a skeleton laying in the middle of the field?
I thought it was a scarecrow, but that was you.
Fantastic.
Way to show pride in your farm.
My Facebook farm.
I heard kids are having sex in your farm.
And your abandoned farm.
Yeah, I log in to watch
Teenagers
that.
use it for sex.
That's gross.
Bunch of smoochers.
Recently, on Multiplaying.
What I am about to show you next may shock and educate you.
What's been going on Multiplaying?
Well, we do have to mention that our guildie Sark is an asshole.
Yeah.
Fucker. Flounder.
He sent us Flounder. He does have a nickname, Flounder. I don't know if he knows that or not. But yes, that is your nickname. It's on the forum, Sark. Check it. And for those who don't know, he's also one of the hosts of MMO Weakly, WEAKLY. Check it out on iTunes. It's a really good show. And he was reading... he was explaining about the...
Oh, I get it. Weekly.
Yeah. He was explaining about this idea he had to play jokes on other podcasts. And apparently we were his first... and that was the Aussie feedback we received was totally fake.
Yeah. So maybe I'm
the
not
whole
an
letter.
asshole.
That's why we say.
Well, no, you are an asshole, but just not because of
my Aussie hate.
Didgeridoos. Yeah.
That's why we're saying he's an asshole.
Yeah.
Oh,
which one, Sark or Slurm?
Yes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I just thought we
pranked us.
I thought we were just saying.
He pranked us. We totally fell for it.
I didn't even know about that. I thought we were just all agreeing.
I thought we were just coming out with it.
I was like, yeah, about time.
On the podcast. It's confirmed.
Finally, bitch.
That's a new thing we're doing with our new guildie.
You are an asshole. You are an asshole segment.
Oh, now I get it. Weekly.
Yeah, see? I didn't get it either at first.
Okay.
It's a play on words.
You guys are assholes. All right. One super cool thing that is going on is our co-host and writer on Multiplaying, Winnin. He's actually developing an iPhone MMO. He's working on it. It's like an independent group. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been reading about it, but some of it's over my head. He's been talking about
it's him and one other guy.
Zones. Is it just one other guy? I thought it was like two other guys.
It might be a couple, but I thought it was just one other guy. But if I am misrepresenting some third person out there that I don't know about, I am so sorry.
He's talking about zone creation and stuff on Multiplaying, and it's a bit over my head, but it's really fascinating. He's sent us some screenshots and stuff. We might use we might pick out one for the image for this podcast, and it's really cool. Like, I can't wait to see it. Once he gets it developed a bit further, he's gonna feel more comfortable talking about it. We couldn't get him on tonight to talk about it, but hopefully soon.
It is looking really good, though.
Yeah, he's having fun with it, too.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
What is the name
I think
of
it's DangerLands.
DangerLands.
Yeah. And I think you have to have the sound effect like dun-dun-dun, like, because it's Dangerland.
This week, he kind of got fancy on a slurm and did a blogger, critic, or journalist piece.
That was fancy?
And
crap, now you're going to want me to explain it. I don't know what I ever type.
Yeah, I do want you to explain it. Like, what is the difference between a blogger and an actual journalist? Because it seems like those lines are starting to get grayed, because some bloggers tend to try to be more journalistic. Some journalists are getting a lot more opinionated.
Exactly.
And so those lines are very gray. And so how do you tell the difference?
I don't know that you can, because that's the weird thing right now is that you look at a bunch of these up-and-coming sites, or the sites that already are very well known. Like I always like using Kotaku because it's one of my favorite sites. Yes, you can say it's a news site because they do present the news of what's going on in the gaming industry, but I have a hard time calling even it journalism. That was kind of my whole point, is that there's even sites that are lesser known than them that I've gone through and read, and have actually read parts where they've considered what they are doing journalism, but yet it's just filled with opinion. And it's like, it's one of the very fundamental things about journalism. It's in the definition of the word, is an attempt to be unbiased in presenting information.
Present the facts, yeah.
So it's like, even when you go and read Kotaku, which, if you're going to consider any site a journalist site, it's probably one of the closer ones, but I don't even consider it a journalist site because it has opinion on there. It has a lot of opinion on there. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think that's
I was going to say, is it wise to call it Kotaku? Because I adore Kotaku.
I love it. It's not a rip. That's what I'm saying. It's not a bad thing. I love that, but I just wouldn't call it journalism. Or maybe the thing with the Kotaku is that you have to split it whenever whenever they do a review. It's obviously not journalism, because a review has opinion in it. It has the person's experience in it as they talk about the game. It's from their point of view.
I think a weird example of that is Giant Bomb, and how those four main writers on there came from GameSpot, where they were more traditional, I guess what you would call journalists, and it very editorial, and the reviews are pretty much only place they did their opinion. Everything else was just news stories. To now, they're a complete, I don't want to say, but I guess they are a blog site. You know, they're just stories. Non-reviews are very opiniated, and
yeah,
I mean, I love that site.
I was going to say, isn't that what you want?
Exactly.
You want their opinion.
That's my thing. I guess the whole point with my article is that there's a lot of sites that are calling it games journalism and stuff, but hardly any of it ever really is journalism. That using that word just kind of gets under my skin. I'm not saying that it's bad what they're doing, like Kotaku, Giant Bomb, all them. I absolutely love them. And I think I like the way that the games media is going in that direction, that we're not surrounding ourselves on a score-based system so much anymore. We're looking more into the words that are being used to describe this person's experience with the game. I just don't like using the journalism word. I'd prefer blogger, but at the same time,
I think that's rude. Like blogger is any a-hole with an opinion. I mean, I just wrote a blog, my first blog today. I mean, that's
exactly. I consider myself a blogger, but I don't.
Is there another word between the two?
That's the thing. I can't think of a word that is in between that, because what a lot of these sites are doing are more along the lines of blogging. But I think they've developed it to a professional standpoint that you really can't call it blogging. Like what I'm doing, I call blogging because I'm nowhere near to the degree of what these guys are. They're leaps and light years ahead of what I.
Professionalism.
It has more professionalism than what I do.
From a hobbyist,
but it is still opinionative.
So I mean, it seems at this point it's more just editorial work from people.
That's what I was just going to say.
Are journalists?
Would you call them like?
Yeah, I mean,
critics, reviewers.
Critics might.
Right. That's the thing is that you can call it a critic if they are doing a review. That's what the kind of split is. It's like, especially with Kotaku, they have more of a split. Sometimes they're journalists, sometimes they're critics. So
right.
like
but even
not one word you can use for them.
Well, I always got to label something.
Because
I'm just kidding.
Because I'm an asshole.
Yeah, but I guess they're a really good example because their reviews don't have numerical scores to them. They're just basically
one of the first
loves, hates.
Yeah, they were one of the first big ones that moved away from that and have grown to the size that they are without that. And it's excellent. I mean, that's why, seeing that site is what made me think, yeah, you don't need a score. I just want to read what this person says about it. Because there's half the time, there's been scores in the past, back when I used to subscribe to 2 or 3 different magazines at a time, that I would read the review and it would totally jive with me, but then I'd look over at the score and say, now, based on what they just said, how in the hell did they come up with that score? So they had to use other factors to make that score up, but it looks bad in comparison to the text that was used in the review.
Hey, are you like me when you read a review about a game you really want that you hide the score like from your view as you're reading it?
That's why I typically don't even go to sites, or I don't read any magazines anymore, and I typically don't even go to sites anymore that use scores for the reviews.
Yeah.
What do you do, Tack? Are you involved in any of the blogosphere or?
Not really.
You don't seem like someone who's into that.
I mean,
he hangs out on message boards, so.
I do.
He does. He's a message board freak, and he's a min-max freak. So that's why I was wondering, because you take your game very seriously when you're into it.
I've thought about like keeping like a little diary, just like the Abyss Chronicles or something like that. But just I don't know. As far as writing goes, I don't like put my name on things and then making them public. I've always been against that. I don't know why. Not necessarily against it, but just shy.
What do you think about blogging versus journalism? Like, do you think there's a line there?
Absolutely. Just by definition, journalism is kind of a place where you go to, where I would say you kind of go for more information. You would expect to get, reliable, something that you can take as truth. And then blogging is kind of more like just like, personal, this is from my point of view, I'm this type of player. So that's how I've always viewed it. But journalism nowadays doesn't be anything like that. So,
yeah, maybe that's another portion of it. Is that there's a lot of people out there that like TAC that don't pay as much attention to it. And they don't really care about the scores. They just see a game. Oh, that looks like it's up my alley. And I think, I don't know. You could probably question how many people are really paying attention to the bloggers and the critics and the journalists. Are they more people that do this themselves? I don't know, it's this weird thing that there's all these bloggers. It's becoming so easy to blog. I mean, it's evident because I'm doing it. I mean, if I can do it, freaking anybody can do it. But it's becoming so easy to blog that are those the people that are blogging, or are those becoming the only people that are even paying attention to the other bloggers?
To a degree.
Weird.
Well, not necessarily. I mean,
until we started multiplaying, I didn't read blogs. Yeah. I read message boards.
Right.
Well, message board is, where I've always been taught is like the main place to go to get information, just from the older, MMO days where
exactly.
They didn't have blogging back then. But I think if you could have blogging be a credible experience. Gives a unique point of view that it might fit your point of view better. Just kind of like finding a guild that suits you. Maybe you find a blog that suits you, a player who has very very much like your play style.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Is when you read these blogs, keeping in mind that it's opinion. It's not anyone trying to report facts about anything.
That's the one thing I found though. Like since we've started doing the multiplaying thing. I have started paying attention to blogs. I've got a whole Google Reader and everything I try and keep up with. And I definitely have my favorites. And some of them I don't necessarily agree with their opinion, not even most of the time, but I really like how they present their opinion. And it helps me see things in a different way, you know, about any MMO topic in general. And yeah, it's much better than in many cases than going to a message board, because it filters out automatically all those comments that you don't necessarily get any information out of.
No. Yeah, that goes down to individuals. I mean, there are...
Yeah, I can subscribe and unsubscribe to people and, you know, get exactly what I'm looking for.
There's different reviewers that I definitely respect, even though I don't always agree with them. Jeff Gertzman, I think, is the one I've read just who describes the game the best and has a really good knowledge of different games. But I probably half the time don't agree with what games he likes, but he always defends them to a point where I can tell he has merit to what he's saying.
Yeah.
I really like to hear Brad's opinion.
You just like his voice.
I do like his voice. Going, you know, from that, are we done with this part?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
And going on, you know, from that, we do have our site of the week. We kind of missed last week because we did our fantastic interview with CEO and President of Stardock, Brad Wardell. If you haven't heard that yet, go check out episode number 9. But we missed mentioning our site of the week last week, which was...
Wall of Text. Yeah, it's at www.walloftext.info. Good stuff. Go check that out. And this week's site of the week is actually High Latency Life. It's the guy that did the Way of the Chosen blog back during the Warhammer days. He actually just went back to Warhammer not too long ago to give it another run through to see what's changed, if he liked it or not, and he actually just stopped again. But he was doing the Way of the Chosen blog. It's Chris Cavell, calls himself Rivs, so if you ever see Rivs, occasionally, I think he occasionally comments on our site, but he's now he is now on High Latency Life. It's just highlatencylife.wordpress.com. So go check out Wall of Text and High Latency Life. Good stuff.
So a lot of us have been playing Aion lately, and Jason, what have you been doing?
I've been playing me some Chanter. I've been trying to level mostly solo, and it gets slow.
Why are you doing it solo?
Because I don't know, I just have an odd play times this past week, and I've only had maybe an hour when I log in, and I want to do more group stuff, but mostly going solo, hot.
He hotted himself twice.
And I don't know. I really like the class. Everything is really going good. I want to get to 25 and check out some of the Abyss action. I know Tack was saying there was some major action going on tonight. So I'm almost 24. So I'm just slowly working my way there, but still really digging it. I really like the world, different zones I've been in. Everything seems really well laid out, well thought out. So I'm just going to keep plugging away hot.
Well, yeah, I've been playing a bit of Aion, not too much. This last week was just... last week and a half has been nuts. I haven't been able to get in game as much as I wanted to, but I got my Aether Gathering up to 100 finally last night, and I trained, and still level 21. But hopefully now... I don't know why I had this weird goal if I wanted to get my Aether Gathering up to 100 before I moved on from Verduran. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
Yeah, I think so.
And I got it, so now I can move on. And now I will level. Because leveling is fast, yeah.
So you make me feel bad because I'm 21. And
I've
not
been,
got
like,
my
doing
gathering.
nothing.
Well, you got your Aether Gathering skill up to 100, and that takes forever.
My regular gathering's 100 too.
Mine is 105, I think.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, look how badass I am.
Leveling isn't that bad. I mean, it's just compared to recent MMO.
Actually, I think it's more fun though,
it's not bad. Like a lot of other people have been saying, it's more of an old school feel. I think even Grok the other day when we were talking to saying it has more old school feel to it. But it's like, yeah, comparing it to we just got off a war, which was a hand holding, and WoW especially. WoW is horrible how fast it is now. So it's.
Oh man, just got disconnected in the middle of the fight. That sucks.
Yeah, just ignore what I'm saying.
Sorry. Yeah, we're trying to do a podcast here. So, Devin, you're like obviously freakishly addicted to Aion. What level are you at?
I just hit 34 today, and that's not that bad.
Congrats.
Thank you.
I like it that it's more group-oriented gameplay.
And he's playing a tough class, so.
What's he playing?
Ranger.
Why you say it like that?
I just mean he's saying leveling is not that bad, and he's playing one of the, I haven't played a Ranger, but would probably be one of the traditionally tougher classes to level.
From word of mouth, it sounds like it's one of the harder ones.
From 1 to 19, it's pretty brutal. It's if you're not in for a monotonous getting your ass kicked most of the time grind, then 10 to 19 really isn't for you. You're better off, even as an assassin, it's pretty bad. But
so I should just pay you to get leveled to 19.
Don't even.
I'm not.
Hey, just so you guys know, when I play my Ranger, I may be taking some different language classes. So
I think my excuse was pretty good that I gave Ab the other day. That if I had all of a sudden had an ungilded level 20, that it's because I had a secret alt for a very long time.
Yeah. Oh, breaking news about that. I just saw that they have disabled character creation on a bunch of servers, including ours, for 24 hours in an effort to, sounds like everyone's assuming, to combat gold spammers.
Wow.
So right
How
now
is
you
that combated,
can't
though?
create a character. I don't know.
I just did like 10 minutes ago.
They just went up a little bit ago. Like, probably 5 minutes ago.
How does that combat it, though?
They don't say that. Okay. We are temporarily disabling the creation of new characters on the following servers, and there's a bunch, including Trineal. This is intended to provide a population distribution to some of our newer servers and to allow us to ban certain accounts engaged in prohibited activities. We expect to re-enable character creation within the next 24 hours and hope this will improve your overall game experience. Please note that this adjustment will have no negative impact or extended interruption of service to the logged-in communities of these servers. These servers may disconnect you briefly, but you should be able to log in right away.
Oh, there you go,
I wonder if
Tech.
that's why you just
So that's why I got booted.
You just got booted, Devin, because you're a gold spammer.
That's right, bitch. Move to one of these servers not listed.
I do spam looking for group channel, but it's always looking for group, I swear.
Talking about gold farm spam, our stance on gold buying is rather traditional. We don't believe in any of that. We are a casual group, and I can't stand when I hear people say, well, I work and I don't have time, and it's the only way I can keep up with the people who have tons of time to play in game, blah, blah. You don't have to keep up. It's an MMO. It goes on for years and years. There's no rush for any of it. It's just the whole point of playing an MMO is you get out of it what you put into it. And if it's against the terms of service, you are a cheater and you should be banned.
Yeah, even Rare over on Insert Awesome Aion name, I had made a comment about how bad the gold spamming was and how we just gold spammers suck and people who buy it are dipshits, and he had made some other post about it and updated about all the stuff that NC was going to be doing about the gold spam, and then even linked to us saying, hey, look, I mean, there's people out there that are casual that don't even believe that bullshit that, oh, I don't have the time to, so I'll just spend money to get it. And yeah, it's complete and utter bullshit. Just, it's a freaking MMO.
Bullshit, just like rubbers.
If you just what you can do, NCSoft is doing their thing, but you can use the block user feature. All you need to do is right click on a user's name, whether it be in a private tell, or if it's in those looking for group or trade type of chat situations. Click on a user's name and choose to block that user. And this doesn't eliminate the problem. It's like a very small step that you can actively make to improve your game experience. And using the block user feature does help them identify spammers quickly.
Do they see like a lot of people have blocked this user or something?
That's what they imply.
Okay, that's kind of cool. Maybe there's just some guy that's really a douchebag.
And based on what Jason, based on what Jason was saying, there are quite a few new servers actually. West has Phrygian, the East has Meslam Tata. I'm gonna go with Meslam Tata.
What the hell are you talking about?
And then
He
in Europe,
slam taters.
you say it,
He
bitch.
slam taters.
Me some today. What the fuck?
Shut up. There you go. See? Anyway, go to that one. It's great. Europe, for France, they've got 2 new servers, Deltras and Arbelou.
Yes, so all of our French listeners now know where to go.
Yeah. In English, Europe has Karun and Khalil. And so a lot of people have been screaming for new servers, and in that State of Aion Today report, they had said, why did you not deploy more servers? And the response was, most of you are savvy enough to realize that a healthy MMO server needs a robust population. We have to calculate our reasonable concurrency numbers in a week and in a month and beyond. The last thing we want to do to our players is spread them out so that the massively multiplayer gets lost. We've spent months planning and have researched multiple MMO launches, hoping to learn from previous successes and failures. It is imperative to your long-term enjoyment of Aion that we carefully manage the health of the servers. We are looking at making sure the Abyss is alive with conflict and legions fighting for control in an epic war. So they are still giving out servers. They're very aware of the long-term effects of adding a bunch of new servers to alleviate, the problem that people have had with the queues. But the queues have been fine. It was like, what, the first week?
Yeah.
The first week.
The second week, I had a couple that were like, 10 minutes maybe?
Yeah.
And I haven't had any this week.
I haven't had any since then.
The queues are virtually gone.
Yeah. I did think it was kind of funny, though, in the State of Aion Today, where they said, we are seeing time frames where 60% or more of our players are playing at any given time. This is a significant event by any MMO standard. Another surprising development is how long players are staying in game. I think that's a testament to the enjoyable nature of the product. And Jason and I have discovered, just by getting up and walking away, we'll do that from time to time. We'll, have something going on, and we'll, get distracted with our son, doing parental things, and you'll walk away and you'll come back and you're, logged out of your MMO. Well, what was it? We ended up going to dinner last week.
You're gone for 5 hours.
And we come home and we had just gone AFK. We didn't set up our store, and we were just still online. Just standing there, la la la. Yeah, it was, that may be why you have people logged in for such long periods of time. Yeah. But yeah, the store thing has been affected, but just walking away.
I don't see nearly as many stores anymore. People selling stuff. It's kind of nice because it's not like spamming the skyline with blocks of text.
Yes, that was terrible.
That's nice, but I hope that what they've done doesn't completely discourage it.
No, because I like the store.
Yeah, I like the little mini stores. I mean, they're nice for certain situations, so I hope that people still are able to use them. And I really hope that over time, that after they fix a lot of the issues with the gold spammers, that they can increase that timer to let people stay logged in with it for hours at a time rather than just a half hour or whatever it is.
Yeah, I know it was kind of because of, the queue situation recently, but a half an hour doesn't seem like that long. I would like to be able to stay logged in while we're recording this podcast and just do my store, but we tend to stay recorded for 2 hours, so that's not, a half an hour. That doesn't really do much for me.
Once the queues are completely gone, there should be some sweet spot of what they can offer, like 4 hours or whatever, so people aren't necessarily abusing it by turning it on in the morning, going to work, doing everything else. I mean, there's got to
who would ever do that?
Yeah.
Because you got to feel pretty bad when you come back and the thing tells you that you've been online for 8 hours. You should probably go take a break.
Well, yeah, and then I have to.
But I leave my store on while I go take my break.
Oh, yeah.
See, that's the thing. Maybe what if you had a store up for 4 hours? Would it still tell you that you needed to go take a break? You've been sitting down the entire time.
Yeah, it does.
Really?
Yeah. They're very concerned about your well-being.
I know.
Might get hemorrhoids.
Oh, goddamn.
Here's a donut. Go sit on this.
Along with all these newfangled servers, they have announced that they're going to offer free server transfers very soon. They said that they are excited to confirm that we are currently working on implementing a server transfer service beginning next month. They will offer every player a free one-time server transfer for a limited time to select servers. And that'll be great for people who aren't currently happy with either the community or population that they're currently on. And the thing that I'm wondering is, a temporary, or a free one-time server transfer. I'm wondering if that implies that they will be doing paid ones too after that.
I imagine. I mean, if they have the ability to do it with a free transfer to get people where they want to go, I mean, if they have that ability, I can't see why they would not allow that.
War never did.
That's true.
Remember, because we had a server we wanted to go to.
That's true.
It was never.
They didn't even have paid. So. Yeah, that's touche.
Yeah. So they had the ability, but anyway.
But were they ever? At that point, they were dwindling in numbers anyways. I mean, were they at the point, like, Aion is assuredly a lot larger than War ever was at this point, right? I mean, am I wrong in saying that?
Yeah.
I would think so. I mean,
it seems that way.
Speculation, but I think it's probably...
Yes. With having no numbers and no facts to back the statement up, I would say
But
yes,
I would still say this isn't irresponsible speculation. I'd say this is...
Well, we've been in both games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can see the writing on the wall.
But
I still has a couple million over in Korea and Asia.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's true.
I mean, look at how big WoW is, and I guess I don't know at what point they started doing paid transfers, but I don't know. Maybe that's just greedy Blizzard, though. Maybe NC won't do it.
I actually like the idea of paid transfers.
I don't mind it. Yeah, I don't.
I think $25 is frickin' ridiculous, but I do understand the need to put a fee on it so that people don't just flippantly do it all the time, and cause major labor issues behind the scenes.
I think $25 is a fair enough. I mean, the person has to have a commitment, but it's not completely out of the. It's not completely
That's
ridiculous.
a solid commitment, though. Because if you want to transfer, think about it. If you want to switch servers completely and you have 8 characters, that's a substantial financial commitment.
You better be sure.
I guess.
They should give you a deal like 3 for the price, 7 for the price of 5 or something.
They don't do that.
I can sell this car for.
It can't cost them too much more to transfer 4.
It doesn't cost them that much, but I understand the need to make it something to think about on the players.
They move all your shit. I can't take. I don't know. I'm just kidding.
I'm done being a douchebag on this server. What's the next one?
I've worn out my welcome here.
Along with that, the Western Aion servers have their first level 50s within just moments of each other on the 7th of October. The Votan server has 2.
All right. Yeah. Whatever.
And they're Elios players.
Don't say their names.
I can't say their names because I can't pronounce them.
Good, because I don't want to give them any of that.
Why? I think it was kind of neat because they were playing. The reports are that they played together. They were in the same guild, and that's kind of cool. That there was like teamwork. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Good for them.
I'm sure they're going to be very happy.
I'm a little jealous.
Like
they're going to get a little house in one of the zones. Yeah.
Somebody got level envy?
Yeah, a little bit.
Moving on.
I've been reading a lot about bots. Oh my god, the bots! A lot of complaints around the internet, but I've only obviously been in the noob area, so I haven't seen one. Or if I have, I didn't know it. Like, how do you recognize a bot? Devin, you're probably the one who's seen one out of all of us.
Oh, shit! Hang on.
Oh, he's in a fight. He's fighting a bot.
Well, bots they're pretty easy to spot, mostly because
Yeah, how do you tell?
Well, they do the same thing over and over and over and over again. They have a home point, which is just an area from which they hunt around, and you can sit there and watch them, and it's pretty bloody obvious. I mean they'll sit there and they'll target the same mob over and over again, and then if there's no mobs within a certain range of their home point, they will return to and wait at their home point until another mob spawns, and they'll go and hit that mob and then go back and sit at that point again. That's the easiest way to tell they're a bot. But
I'm not a bot. I do that. That's how I grind.
Easiest way is, you know, ridiculous names that don't really make any sense. Ungilded, no title, none of that. That's always the quickest way. That I generally, I won't ask twice at that point. There's no title. I'll just auto-report.
I don't use a title. Damn.
Well, you're still gilded.
Wait.
And I mean, I've seen bots who are gilded and have titles too, but...
I do use a title. I just don't have it as visible to myself.
Right, me too.
I think they're annoying. So I wouldn't know if someone had a title or not.
Wish there was a way you could cross-chat to you so you could, you know, send a whisper to him, Asmo, you know, come kill this bot for me. But...
Kinah mocked. He's playing Asmo with our former Alliance crew. Children of the New Sun, I guess they're now called the Muppeteers, over on Lumiel. Yep. He was posting today that he got a bot killing reception. And he went over there, and he went over through a rift, and him and a couple of the guildies there, they saw some bots and they saw some players, so they just start killing the bots, and the result was that they were cheered on by the Elios on their server. And not only were they cheered on, but people made fraps of it and and screenshots and posted it all over like their server forums, and like loved that they came in and killed the bots.
Yeah, the picture of him with the people in the background with the personal stores that had like the kill the bots, yay, behind him. That was awesome. That was great.
And there's like this whole bot killing movement on Lumiel now.
That's so cool to know too, that you can communicate to the enemy by stores.
The store.
By stores, yeah.
Please don't kill me.
Why my wares?
What we were just doing right before one of the Seal's fortresses went vulnerable, we were sitting there in a tunnel, which I thought was a bad idea because we had, you know, guards spawning on the other side of us. Asmos knew we were there, but we couldn't take anything, so we're just, you know, letting them get around us, and, you know. That was right before I disconnected, so we didn't die, luckily. But sitting there, you know, and just kind of like having like this Mexican standoff where no one really moves or does anything. Open up your shop and, you know, make a witty, smart comment and just sit there and talk to them.
Your mother was a hamster.
Nice.
Asked them if they wanted to smoke the peace pipe. They shot me.
They did not like that statement.
They did not appreciate that.
No, they must be Aussies.
Is that Paz guy?
So, since you didn't go over this, I'm guessing you didn't see. But another good thing is after level 38, they did increase the quest experience rewarded per quest turn.
After level 38?
Yeah.
Oh, great! I'm 21.
Hey, I thought they said they were going to do it for all quests like above like 20, but I guess I misread.
It might be that. I thought I read 38, but at any point,
you're probably right.
So, it's a 12.5 million experience for a level 34, and then I know by 38 it's I think someone said like 36 million or 32 million. It was in the 30s. 30s.
So we have a lot of time. What you're saying is we have a lot of time to bond as a guild.
Well, I mean, it's a lot like how Dark Age was. I mean, if you guys remember, I did too. I mean, a lot of
grouping and hanging out.
40 to 50, you doubled. I mean, 40 to 50 doubled your playtime, then 48 to 50 redoubled your playtime.
And you just spend it with these same people hanging out.
Yeah, just you know, chain polling, just grinding it out, and you learn your class that way. You know, these MMOs where, you know, you can solo your entire way. You never really learn how to, you know, work in a group setting. So
exactly.
That's kind of one of the problems with war. A lot of people were used to working on their own because they sold the entire way. It was absolutely pointless to group and war until you got to 40 to farm renown points playing PvE trade to keep.
That happened to me. I got all the way up to 37 with the Witch Elf, and then I realized in a RVR situation, that's not at all how I like to play. In PvE, it was so easy and awesome. You know, she kicked so much butt. And then, yeah, in the RVR situation, I'm like, what am I supposed to do here? And, like, you know, I did not like the role that I had.
Right. That's exactly, situation. I mean, you're exactly right about Dark Age, too, because, like, with my Friar, I've got up into the 40s through, like, the classic world. And, I mean, it took me a while to do it. I mean, I switched classes a few times and went back to them. And I think I went from like 45 to 50 in Avalon City once they did Shrouded Isles.
Oh, Avalon City.
I loved it and hated it at the same time. It's like I loved it, but then I went through and I did it again with the Reaver later on. And by that point, I was so sick of the place that I hated it. But yeah, I actually got to 50 in that place both times. But you're perfectly right, though. It really taught me the class. You always had to group with people for the places that gave you the best experience. and you played it so much, and you had to group so much that it really showed you how to use those group dynamics. It was really good.
Absolutely. I remember leveling my Eldritch, who was my first 50 in Dark Age, and he was 1 to 40 as Spectrum Void, which for those of you who don't know was a bolt class, and bolt classes are kind of like sniper classes, just magic snipers. And then at 40, you had a free respec, and respecs in Dark Age, for those who also didn't play, were very hard to get at the time. They're very expensive, or you had to get them as a drop from a dragon who, at that point, had only been killed a handful of times, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So at 40, I used the free respec to switch to Mana, which was a PBAE class. And in Dark Age, PBAE Mana casters were really like a mini nuke going off, and at the center, and the damage dissipated fairly quickly. But at the center, it was absolutely massive amounts of damage.
Mm-hmm.
And from 40 to 50, I went from sitting in the back as a ranged damage dealer to being pretty much a melee caster. And it taught me how I had to play that class in RVR.
Yeah.
As a little lurking on top of it, who goes off like a light bulb every time he casts his PBAEs. You don't live very long, so you have to know when to jump in there and when not to. Generally,
yes. As someone who played Albion, as soon as I saw the big blue ball going off, I knew who to target.
Giant strobe light. Just come smack me here.
It's like a freaking disco.
The other thing, with the group playing like that, and having to rely on the group for so long, day in, day out, to get to your top level, you really learned that the life of the group was more important than any individual's life. And you had that situation where you knew, like, certain people stayed behind and died. Like tanks, you knew you were going to stay behind and die because that cleric needed to get out of there. You needed to taunt and die so that the cleric can get away and come back and res. And, certain situations like that, you knew if you were expendable in those situations. And you knew if you had to take off, even though you wanted to try and stay and help, you knew you were not doing a service to the group if you did that. And all of that played into your training for RVR then, in those tough situations when you got into them. Oh, yeah. And I think a lot of that's lost now. A lot of individualism comes out in MMOs.
Well, at the same time, it like you said, it emphasizes the life of the group as a whole. It also reinforces the you can't be a douchebag aspect, because you need that group if you ever want to be anywhere. So you have to be nice to people, so you can't be a loot whore.
Yeah, and I think that got lost. I think that got really lost in Warhammer. A lot of us were going into it hoping Daok 2.0, but because exactly what you guys were saying about how it was so solo heavy, so much more solo heavy than what Dark Age was, you never got that camaraderie feel with playing in a group. You could level to 50 in the game by yourself. You could towards the end when I was playing it, you were getting to the point where you could RVR to 50. Yeah, grouped, but always with different people. If it was called for, you could probably do it with group. But anyways, yeah, you never got that feel of how to really play as a group.
Yeah, and the camaraderie thing's a big thing. Because realm pride, nothing's a bigger motivator than patriotism. There's a reason, every military force uses patriotism. If you still talk to, a couple of Dark Age vets, I was a Midgard on this server. Oh, you freaking mid, I was an Alb, or
I was an Alb.
There's still that kind of rivalry, but at the same time, the community never really hated each other. It was always a very healthy respect. That I think mids got most respect. Alps kind of got shunned on it because y'all were Zergers. You gotta admit it.
Whatever.
We had to be because our group dynamic was set up that way.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But that kind of goes into other MMOs, especially with War. There was a big fake new expansion posted, and a lot of people fell for it. We'll link to that in our show notes. But they do have a real game update 1.3.2. Which is basically like a whole new beginning where all new characters that join Destruction or Order are starting in either Chaos or Empire.
Can I just interrupt you? That's a terrible idea.
Yes, it is.
Well, I think it's a necessary idea. I don't think it's a
They don't need to group it. I mean, unless they want to do the PQs, but even then,
I think it's to filter RVR, though. The newbie RVR is so
to a point, that's where everybody goes anyways.
Let me give Mythic a hint. Copy and paste Frontiers and just just drop it somewhere in 40 RVR. I mean, the leveling's fine in the game. It's quick. It's painless. It's what they wanted it to be. They said that they wanted leveling to be quick. They just wanted people to get to 40 in RVR.
What was funny about when I first read that they were taking out the forts and that they were filtering everybody.
The forts.
Yeah, they're removing the forts from the game so that you can access the city sieges more often. And it's like the first thing that popped in my head is like, well, it probably means that they don't have enough people to actually take forts now.
Yeah.
In order to get to the city, so they're just opening that up. And then the other part of me says, well, I mean, that was kind of the point. It's to take a city is supposed to be hard. It is supposed to be the hardest damn thing in the game. It is the end game.
And yet they're filtering people to do it all the time.
Yeah, and that's what they're, I mean, so that people can get the loot, which it wasn't supposed to be loot heavy anyways. And then my next thought was, so does this...
It is totally loot heavy with the ward system.
But
That's
when
like,
the game was being developed, they said that this was not going to be such a loot heavy game. It's not going to be like other MMOs that it's all about loot. It's going to be
And then they said, psych!
Yeah. And then my other thought after hearing all this was, so I guess this means we're not getting the other cities.
Yeah. Whatever happened to those?
Am I coming through?
Not really. You're still a robot, man.
All right. I don't want to talk, but someone... okay, I'm so pissed about that. I was so pissed when they cut those cities.
Yeah, I was really let down, just months before, Mythic would come in. All right, but, and they were basically what they said several times are, all right, we couldn't get this to work, so this is what's going to happen instead. And then I said the last 4 months before War's release, like official release, the game changed entirely from what, they were describing it to be a year and a half out. This big, amazing RVR conflict. I mean, I still remember that first cinematic I saw, with the Orcapult. That just had me so pumped for that game.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't see how there was any way that Mythic could go wrong with this because they're Mythic. They had Dark Age so right.
It's hilarious that they put a video of an Orcapult and then there is no Orcapult.
There was
there
one.
is two. There's one in the newbie area of the green skin.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Well, there's
but
another
not
one also.
in RVR combat, which was that video.
No. Yeah, no, not really. Yes.
Siege combat was nothing like it was in Dark Age. Too easy.
Siege combat was horrible.
Blah. Let's cry some more. They are putting new players automatically to be placed in a new player guild, one for each realm. To help with communication and rolling up a new alt character, blah, blah, blah. I think that's a good idea. I remember it from DAOC, and when we would, not necessarily on Guinevere where we were, but whenever we would try the classic server, that was nice, because you kind of had someone to talk to right away, and people were surprisingly supportive. I don't know what it was about that dynamic, but they were very helpful, and it was really nice. Even though you didn't even have the traditional leader officer setup, people were just very helpful.
Yeah, that was very cool. Like other people that were starting out the game would ask all sorts of questions, and pretty much everybody else would be veterans of the game at that point. So that was actually a really cool system. 9 times out of 10, when I reroll a character, I would just leave it automatically because I already had a guild lined up. But the couple times that I stayed in it for whatever reason, like just to get to level 10 before I could join up with the guild anyways, I thought it was actually pretty cool.
Yeah. And then they have a new apprentice system, which allows players of different ranks to play together. But there's a pause in that they're putting a hold on players downsizing to lower tiers for the moment due to a concern about tier 4 players rampaging, which was a word used by a blogger. I think it was Werit. I'm not sure.
Might have been.
Look that up. Through tier 1. So basically they're a little concerned now that all the high ups, level 40s, are totally just going to focus on tier 1, going back to Nordenwatch, and dominating the place. And they don't want that. They don't want the focus of the whole game to shift back to tier 1. They want the lower levels to focus on getting to the higher tiers.
Yeah, and that's.
You know what? The whole problem is tier 1's the most fun.
Exactly. The first thing
the most fun.
First thing that I thought of when I read that, I was like, oh my God, that is so cool. How cool would it be to take my 40 and drop it down into tier 1? That would be badass.
That would just be. I would just live there.
And then it raises
that's what
the
I
problem.
did.
Yeah. And that raised
that
the
was
problem.
my
It's
whole problem in that game.
That is the problem. Everybody wants to go back to like tiers 1 and 2.
Just flip the game.
Yeah, exactly. I still say what I said a long time ago. Just take out tier 4. Just make it end at tier 3. Just cut it off at level 30.
when he said, that people would get into these guilds and they're the veterans were surprisingly helpful in Dark Age, that would remind me, like you also said, Zelly, that how I'm a min-maxer. When you got beat in Dark Ages, there's 2 ways, well 3 ways really, to figure out how to beat that class. You could go to IGN, bitch about it, and get your answers. You could roll a class yourself and find out, or the easiest way to do it was to roll the class yourself. On a different server, obviously, do a /who50 of that class or high level of that class and just start asking questions. And 9 times out of 10, the people would talk back to you and they'd answer your questions. And
I always answered. Yeah.
And Aion now, I mean, I can sit there and some people are extremely helpful. They'll sit there and answer any questions they have. Other people will just straight up ignore you. And I don't know where this mentality of find out yourself kind of came through, but it kind of takes up the social aspect, if you ask me.
Wow. No, literally wow. I mean, it's wow.
Yeah.
No, I mean, not to say that WoW is again, I always have to. It's not a bad game. It's just it is bred.
For some reason, it fosters a very harsh community.
What happened is
type of MMO player.
From what I would say, and this is the person who played on BNet, with Diablo and Warcraft, the BNet tards came in with
I think they're called BNet kitties.
No, they're tards. They're all retards.
Oh gosh.
And they just kind of the large younger population in WoW kind of idolize this because a lot of sometimes they are pretty funny. The comebacks are funny, they're witty, and people their kind of begets their kind. And I think that's just where it kind of all started out and spawned and just has kind of festered like a plague ever since.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if I covered this in another podcast or if I was just talking one night, but I was seeing people, statements on message boards about how people were saying they were really frustrated with their guild. They loved their guild. They'd been in it a while, which define a while. I've been in the same guild since 2003. So, but, they've been in the guild a while, but they're really frustrated with all the people leaving for Aion. That they know that Aion, this is their words. Aion's only going to have a shelf life for these, fleeing guildies of a month or 2. But they don't know if they could hold out and wait that long because they had things in game they needed to get done. So they might have to leave their guild to find another one so they can continue raiding. And I'm like, you can't stay with a guild you think is fantastic for a month or 2 and get by?
Because you left it and lost a couple people?
Where is your guild loyalty? Where is your commitment to providing a service to that guild that's provided one to you for so long? And just your, where's the social loyalty there too with your friends? Aren't these people your friends? I mean, is the guild just a function then at that point? I
think it boils down to the internet's just a great big mask, and you're never really going to be held accountable. And even in a game like this, some people will just roll another character if one character gets blacklisted. I remember back on Zul'Jin when the game first came out, there was a shaman who had taken a dagger or something or a couple several different pieces of armor from several different groups. And he actually ended up getting blacklisted from the entire server. All he did do was he re-rolled it into a different ult. And there was no real consequences. He got in groups after that all he wanted, and he could do whatever whatever he wanted to do again. So it kind of requires like a community-wide effort, I think, to kind of keep that stuff down.
But for me to re-roll an alt and pretend like nothing ever happened, I would have to give up all my friends that I've spent years on, building relationships with. I mean, is that not done anymore? That's what I'm asking. Are we like some weird little group now?
I mean, this is just all from my speculations. From what I think I see.
Right.
It's a different outlook on gaming. The newer generation of gaming kids. The generation. They're the second generation of having, gaming systems all the entire time. All of them are decent gamers. They've been used to it. They're, it's part of society now, pretty much. The game is meant to serve yourself. That's it. A lot of the veteran MMO players, they got into the MMO for the social aspect, to play with other people, and then to kind of build that reputation on that server. And then that character was an extension of you, and then the ultimate RPG. The element of working for yourself has now come into MMOs, and they don't feel that social obligation anymore.
No, it's the look. I'm building up my character. Look at me.
But your character is nothing. I mean, don't people realize that your character is one group of pixels in one game on one server. What about after that? Like, that's where I don't understand. Like,
one man's trash, no man's treasure.
But yeah, I mean, but look at.
I mean, that's where I get frustrated because, like, I mean, I've held on to, you know, this great group of friends now for years through quite a few games that have I think the games have failed us, and the guild has been fantastic.
But it's all in what people are taking out of the game.
Wouldn't you rather have real real people and connections than just have a really cool group of pixels in one game that you lose as soon as you pick up another game?
That's the difference on the outlook. You are going into the game saying, what I have gotten out of this is these people, these relationships. I talk to these people almost on a nightly basis. I enjoy their company, and that's what you're enjoying out of it. The other people are saying, oh, look at this badass armor that I got in this character. Years later, whatever, if they run into somebody that also played this game, they can say, hey, I played on this. Oh, what server did you play on? Yeah, I did this. I had this weapon. I had this armor, blah, blah, blah. But they could be asked, do you still talk to the people that you guilded with? And they'll say no. They don't really care. They just care to look back at it as a game that they accomplished these things in it. But for like us, we care more about the social aspect of it. That, like what Tack is saying, we want the friendship.
Absolutely.
To me, though, it's more. It's not just about being, you know, desperate for friendship or whatever. But
no, not desperate. But
no,
just
I know what you mean. But
that.
It's more about like having those game experiences with people who I know, like we get each other's humor, you know, and that's kind of rare sometimes. Like, and we have a great time even in frustrating situations because we just all get each other and get along and get through things. So even like really frustrating aspects of game can be really fun for us.
Yeah.
And I don't. You know, you've heard those, you know, YouTubes or whatever of guilds where the guild leaders are screaming at people and everything, and it's just like, why are people in those guilds? Like, are you being paid to be there? Like, why would you be a part of that?
Well,
like, I don't.
They view the loot as a form of payment, so it really is. I mean, it really has.
Awful.
I agree with everything. No, I really do. I agree with everything. I really agree with Tack's points. I mean Devin's points. And we'll focus way too much on what you have and not the community, and that's the most important thing that's gotten lost. People don't care anymore about.
Or do you think we're just old? No, but like that's my consideration. Is maybe we're just old and we're just used to looking at it a certain way.
No,
that is what it is. I think it is. It's just a generation difference.
I mean,
different values is what I'd have to say it as.
Do you just turn 21?
Well, I mean, a point that I was going to make right before you brought up the 21 thing is that there is exceptions to the rule. I mean, we're kind of stereotyping because that's
Well, Devin's actually being the worst stereotypical about young players, and he's one of our youngest guild members.
Yeah.
So.
He's been playing MMOs a lot longer than most people. So, but yeah, we're stereotyping because there's plenty of younger players who still want that community. I think it's just what you guys were saying earlier. WoW drew in so many people that you have more douchebags now, and those people get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah, and I don't think it's actually, you know, putting it on a population and a percentage basis, the majority of the population of the world are douchebags. So when you gather a lot of people, when you gather a lot of people, you're going to have a high percentage of douchebags in your community. So.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the numbers that Dayak had, you just figure what the few thousand or whatever that they had. I couldn't even tell you what numbers they had, but
I think they had at their peak like 200,000.
Yeah, you look. That was the most they ever had, and when it drew down to being the niche title that it was, under 100,000 probably. That, I mean, there's more of a ability for a community to build there because there's similar like-minded people that wanted that game, and then you had the opposite end of the spectrum of that as well. When you have that many people, the game just became I'm out for myself in this.
So do you think it's unhealthy from an MMO like perspective to like the money, the pockets? They want to build the MMO that's going to draw in the WoW crowds. I mean, that's the big goal of the companies right now. Is that necessarily the best thing to do? Is to, you know,
for community? No.
That's what I mean.
No.
Like, should they be designing for community aspect? Then you should be designing niche.
And that's
MMOs.
fine. You're going to have somebody actually just wrote up a blog post about this. And I can't remember who it was.
I think it was Keen and Grave.
Was it Keen and Grave or was it Sin Kane?
Oh,
somebody
yeah.
just wrote up something about how I think it was Sin Kane that wrote it. Was that about how you're going to have two ends and it's perfectly fine in this whole MMO family that you're going to have your big WoW type games. I think he kind of chunked Aion in with that, but then you're also going to have all these niche titles for the people that are more smaller communities like Fallen Earth and stuff like that. I mean, you're going to have both of those, and that's what's going to make this big happy family of MMOs. But it's going to be different. What you are wanting out of it's going to be different for everybody. So you're going to go to that certain game.
Yeah.
I think it still can be marketed to have some sort of realm pride, like DAOC did, and like Steve was saying, there's 200,000 people who played that game at the peak, and when you picked up that box, it said, hey, there's these three sides, which side are you going to be a part of? And that meant something to you, like you guys were talking about earlier. I think there's still something there's something there still for a game like, I don't know if Aion does it or what, but a big MMO type of game that really focuses on sides and isn't gear dependent, where I can go in and still, not that gear doesn't matter, and I don't know if Aion does this, but DAOC did this initially, where I could go in, craft up, make my own stuff that was just as good as
It was
the drop.
expensive as all hell, but you could do it.
But I did it. Yeah, I did it. And I wasn't hardcore. I mean, I was hardcore probably more at
You were
the
a little
time,
hardcore.
but I did it on my own, and I grouped up a ton, and not to say it was all solo, but I still felt like I had a chance. I wasn't just wiped out the second I walked onto the battlefield. And I don't know if Aion does it at higher levels, but I think there still is a big place for that type of game that can be really successful, not WoW numbers. But.
I think that's the secret to getting some. I mean, if you're going to go on numbers, I think that's the secret to getting a casual player base in a PvP MMO, is making it so that gear is not the defining factor, because casual players don't have the time for it, and I think that's what he was saying.
I kind of like the way Aion's done it.
See, I'm only 21. I'm a newbie, so.
Well, I mean, at the same time, I'm only 34. I haven't necessarily gotten into it either. But
it's pretty high. It's not been out that long. I think that's a respectable number, but go ahead.
Thank you. There's just the way farming, as we said before, the way farming abyss points work is, the higher rank you are, the less you get per kill, the more you lose. So the smartest thing to do is to spend your points as soon as you get them. So that way, it kind of keeps a top rankings moving. At least for a good long enough time. A year or so until plenty of time for the expansion to come out. But this gear is always going to be getting acquired by each of these new players, and it's going to kind of keep like a level playing field the entire time.
Are we ready to move on? For SWTOR news, we don't have too much except beta test signups.
Or quote unquote beta test signups. They're not really. They didn't say that they're beta tests.
I'm sorry. There is some sort of testing signups going on with SWTOR. So go to their site, sign up if you want to do it. Any comments?
Do we have any new game plans for SWTOR, as you're saying, or
no, not yet?
What are you guys going to do? Are you going to dual MMO if Aion's the PvP game you're looking for, or?
I'll make that decision then.
I'm gonna have to. You know what? Surprisingly, I thought going into Aion, I honestly thought, hell no, I'm not sticking with Aion. It's totally temporary. This is, some bullshit game we're just hanging out in for something to play until SWTOR comes along. And I totally had that view going into it. I'm really, really enjoying Aion, more so than I thought I would. And now you know what? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going to happen.
I'm really unsure about the Old Republic for other reasons, but I mean, that's a completely different show. As I'm seeing it right now, I'm hopefully sticking with Aion until that gets here. I plan on still playing the Old Republic day one, at least for that first month. But if I'm still enjoying Aion at that point, if the PvP is awesome, then most likely I will just probably drop the Old Republic until I get burnout of Aion.
Yeah.
If I'm enjoying Aion as much as I am now, and I haven't even hit the PvP yet,
right?
I don't see why I would leave.
Yeah, I think we have to do an Aion is we have to get an Andaraxian roaming group going on around 50, just to represent.
Oh yeah, we'll
I may hit 50 by the time Old Republic comes out.
Oh, you'll be there.
I'll go on a mad leveling spree.
TF2. What'd you guys do last week? Because I don't know what I was doing, but I was not there.
What
were you doing, baby?
Me?
Yeah, you're my baby.
That's why I was kind of weirded
you're
out.
Frank.
You're Frank.
Neither of you guys played TF2 last week.
Yeah, we didn't.
We were busy.
I did. I can't remember all who showed up though, but I thought it was like Grok. I think Carr showed up. Winnan did pretty late, but he had to jump off quick, I think. We had a handful of people show up and jumped on to a pretty like a 4-on-4 server, and it stayed about like 6-on-6 for a while. Ended up being a lot of fun. They all seemed to team up on me though.
Well, that's because you kick a lot of ass, and we're getting annoyed.
Don't
with it.
kick a lot of ass, trust me, because I wasn't doing that hot.
Kick my ass.
But yeah, it was actually a lot of fun. Pretty even fights for most of it. Can't remember. I couldn't even tell you what maps we all played, but it was a good time. I encourage anybody that wants to play some TF2 with us to check it out Monday nights at 9 o'clock Eastern time. It is a ton of fun. I enjoy it.
It is fun.
It's a nice break from Aion. I mean, it's one of the
Not
things.
that you need a break from Aion.
No, one of the things that I was going into this game was I got to play some other stuff while I'm doing this because I don't want to get burnt out of it because it's going to be a long haul with this game until the Old Republic, and I like doing the TF2 night especially. I'm really digging. So
yeah, that is why we originally set up the TF2, and now I'm having so much fun in Aion. I'm frustrated with which to play because I'm having fun in both.
And that's a big part of. I mean, talking about what I've been playing a lot of stuff. I am not killing myself to level in Aion. If I really wanted to go hardcore, I could be a lot higher. But I know I'm going to be playing this game for a while. I am not sick of it at all, and so I'm just going to play it. You know, when I get the.
I get that feeling too. Like I'm like more. I look at Aion and I'm like, you know what? This is long term.
Yeah.
I have time.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why I'm more relaxed about it. And gathering Aether is a big deal for me because I know
it's very important to you.
Well, no, but I view it. I view it as like an investment in that character because I know in the long term it'll pay off because there is a long term.
Yeah, you're accomplishing something.
Oh, shut up, you ass! All right, listener feedback.
Yeah, there seems to be some sort of communique.
We have a iTunes review by Steve's buddy, Secondhand Plunger.
Yeah, otherwise known as Josh.
There you go, Josh. It was specifically about our Stardock interview, episode 9. He gave us 5 stars. He said, loved the Stardock interview. I thought it was pretty informative and funny. Good stuff. Did you pay him for that?
No, I did not. He actually just popped on Xfire one night and said, hey, I left your review on iTunes. Like, sweet, thanks.
Nice. We got another iTunes review. Oh my gosh, 2 in a week. Well, 2 weeks actually, but still pretty cool. Jim Wise. The topic is like a warm bowl of soup poured about my chilled loins. 5 stars. And I wasn't sure going into that what it was going to be, but apparently that is good because it was 5 stars. And then he said ... but without having to pick out any carrot bits from my nooks and crannies. I'm not a member of their site. I rarely seem to be playing the same games, and yet when a new episode appears, it immediately rises to the top of my listening schedule. I only wish TV was as entertaining as these folks.
That was awesome.
Which is a fantastic review.
Yeah.
Is that anyone's friend? I mean, really?
But he needs to be.
I know.
Jim Wise. If I ever get married again, you're in my wedding party.
How you doing? Yeah, and it's funny. We've been getting like a few reviews now, either emails or reviews from people who play no games that we're playing, but still listen to us. And
well, the one was like the person doesn't even really play video games at all.
No, she plays like some iPhone games, and that's it. And like that's where I'm like, oh, I can talk about my iPhone games because we have some listeners that do that. Like I thought I would be seen as like, oh, that girl. That's cool. Our episode subscriber numbers are up. We're doing good, and reviews are good. Very happy.
What is it, like 5 people now?
Yeah.
Sweet.
5, 6
4. The one guy died. Our thoughts and prayers are with his.
I keep meaning to subscribe, but I get busy.
We'd double our numbers if the guild members would actually listen to us.
We have decent. We actually should probably stop saying we don't have listeners because we really do have listeners and they're fantastic. So
we love you guys.
Thank you for listening.
They're all great.
It's not like we get sponsorship money though. We guess we can insult them if we want to.
That's true. We're privately held.
You, the
Aren't you
guy.
want to talk about why would you listen to something when you're getting insulted? The whole WoW Guild thing. What?
What'd you say?
Nothing.
No, what did you say?
Nothing. It was just a bad joke.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry that didn't work out for you.
I know, you kind of like, you were all committed to it, and then you totally petered out on yourself.
Yeah, it happens.
Hot.
That was very ugly to watch, to listen to.
It was kind of like
Difficult.
a boil over, you know?
Like a boiled
Do you guys know what a boil over is?
Do we want to?
No.
Huh?
Let's just wrap
Yeah,
up.
I'm ignoring it though.
That'd be like the marshmallow and the coin slot. As discussed earlier, I think before the podcast started.
Well, gentlemen, no point in hanging around this dump any longer.
Wait! Where are you going? I was going to make us breakfast.
Show's over, folks.
You can't go! All the plants are going to die. Take off, eh?
Thanks for listening to Multiplaying, the companion podcast at multiplaying.net. Questions, comments, feedback, errors, etc. can be sent to multiplaying@gmail.com. We invite you to write a review on iTunes and visit our website at www.multiplaying.net.
We've made a lot of friends, shared a lot of laughs, often at the expense of others.
I think some people are going to be upset.
Let me just close this conversation by saying you are one unique individual.
Thank you and good night.